And so let me welcome, and I'm so honored and excited to have community with this woman in my evolved state. Last couple of times I talked with her, I hadn't read as much, I didn't know as much, I wasn't in meditation with my ancestors as much. And now I get to talk with her today. So let me welcome the great. I don't even want to get into all the accolades. We'll be here all day. Nikki Giovanni, welcome.
Good morning or good afternoon. Thank you. Glad to be
Good.
here.
Look, we say good everything because, this is an international show. People could be listening from someplace 6 hours ahead, 5 hours behind. Good everything.
Yeah.
Good everything, Dr. Giovanni. First of all, I want to start with your name. We were I'm sitting with you. You are a junior, which is so powerful to think about. Your mama named you after, and we were talking about Ida B. Wells, who also named her daughter a junior. There was a generation of Black women before there was such a thing as feminism. I don't even know what that is, by the way, who understood the value in naming their children and giving them a legacy through their line.
Right.
Please, did you ever have a conversation with your mom about why you were, Yolanda Jr.? Why?
No, I'm sorry to say I really don't. And I didn't. And I lived with my grandparents, and my grandfather, excuse me, went to and graduated from, I'm proud to say, Fisk University, where he was taught by W.E.B. Du Bois. And if you recall, Du Bois's first daughter was named Yolanda. So we always thought that Yolanda, that grandpapa, because of his admiration for Du Bois, named mommy, my mother, after them. And then my mother, I think, passed it along. And I didn't change, if I can use it, legally change to Nikki until mommy passed, because I didn't want mommy to think that I didn't want to carry her name. But by then, and I don't know why everybody started calling me Nikki, but I had carried Nikki so long that I kind of dropped it. But no, I was a junior, and it was interesting.
Yolanda Cornelia Jr. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I think about today as women and men, because I was in community with you and James Baldwin before I came on these airwaves, because I just wanted to watch that again, that 1 hour conversation, which to this day it is earth shattering, it is life altering, it is everything. And as a journalist, I'm sitting there, I was like, your questions and your silence just was everything. So as I was sitting there, I was like, man, to be a woman who will be entering her 80th year next week,
Yeah.
and to still have so much youthful exuberance and joie de vivre, just to borrow some French, because that's where James Baldwin spent a lot of his time. I think about, you were raised in an era that to me is confounding, because we think of, your period and then your mama's period as a period of extreme oppression. So when do you have time to even give as a woman with no power in America to bequeath a name? There's something radical about that.
I think Black women are probably the most radical people on earth. And you and I, you share our love of space, our love of the galaxy. And I'm always saying that whoever from Earth goes into the galaxy, it should be Black women, because we are very confident within ourselves, but we're also very friendly. And I know that the minute we run into a life form in the galaxy, I'm not just talking, in space, but somewhere in the galaxy, the first thing the Black woman is going to say is, baby, are you hungry? Because that's what we do. We feed everybody, you need something to drink, and we'll invite them in. So as Earth is dealing with life forms, which we are not doing a very good job right now of doing that, one of the things we have to do is follow the lead, if I may, of Black women, because I think it's pretty obvious that we're great, and that we're patient, and that we're loving, not to mention good cooks and a few other things of that nature. But we need to follow that step. I just finished reading, by the way, Where the Crawdads Sing, which I think is just a terrific book. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it or see the movie.
I was going to add, that was one of my questions. What are you reading? Because, you can't write. You can't be a great writer without being a great reader.
Oh, no.
Yes, I read the book. Where the Crawdads Live. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you. I read books like I listen to music. So you don't listen to a song once, you do it again. So I read it twice, and I'll be reading it actually again. I purchased a Kindle so that I could carry it with me, because books are getting to be heavy, or I'm getting to be old most likely. But one of the things that I really loved in that book was who took care of Kai. And the person that did was Jumpin and Mabel. And so when she needed someone to be her family, she had the Marsh, but then she had the Black people. And it was the Black people that said, baby, what do you need? And it was Mabel, who said to her when she got her period, this is not a curse. This is where life comes from. And to help her to understand, you can't let other people decide what your life is. You carry life within you. And I just love that. I just thought it was so wonderful that we went back to that Black woman who, despite the fact that at some point, we know that they were being segregated against the Black people, but they didn't let that stop them from reaching out to this little girl who needed some help. And when she did, she said that Jumpin is like my pa. But she didn't mean in the negative sense because her pa was crazy. She meant that I could count on him. And I thought that was just wonderful.
For those of you who've only watched the movie, the book is phenomenal, Where the Crawdads Live. And I didn't know the little girl was white. Like, I made an assumption when I was reading it that she was Black, and I don't know why. I just thought because her parents abandoned her, and I think I was socially conditioned to think of this little girl being abandoned in the middle of nowhere, must be Black. And then when I discovered she was not, I was like, oh. And then the relationships that you're talking about, to just be totally on your own and to learn through nature and to learn about yourself and to have a strength with no education, whatever that means, right? So it also tells you something about our school system.
That would be understated. And I was very lucky. And I know you're not allowed to say it this way, but I was very lucky to grow up in segregation because I had Black teachers who talked to me and who believed in me and who would give me books to read and who would, the things that I was interested in. One of my earlier books was Rachel Carson, Silent Spring. And I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they had outlaws. And as you know, Darwin, the theory of evolution was outlawed in Tennessee for the longest. And my librarian, Mrs. Long, made sure that I got Darwin's book, that I could see what the world was like. And I think that I'm not going to recommend segregation. I'm not a fool, or at least I hope I'm not. But I was just lucky to have those Black women, and they were mostly, I did have some, Mr. Dixon was one of my teachers, but to have those Black women teaching you and believing in you and loving you, and just to see them smiling when you came to, I went to an Episcopal school, so we had nuns, but we only had one Black nun, and that was Sister out there, Augustine. And just to see her smile in the morning. And it got to the point that I didn't care about school, because really I didn't. And I didn't think I was learning anything. So I didn't go to school. I did my chores. I cleaned the house and the things that I had to do. And school was out at 3:30. So I would go to school at 3:30 so that I could sit and talk with Sister Althea. And everybody she finally realized, Nikki, I didn't see you at school. And I would go, oh, yeah, I was there. But then I didn't go to school. Why would I go to school when I could talk to her? And so that's what I did. I don't recommend it.
No, recommend it. And we should be okay with saying those things, because what segregation did was give Black folk understanding that we were enough, right? In a world that was saying we were not, right? Segregation gave us a sense of belonging and self and community, that thriving communities of Rosewood and Greenwood and Wilmington. And I mean, I could just go on, Eatonville, that we could build, because we built the country, spaces where everyone eats and everyone thrives. And then here comes the jealousy and anger of white people, and white as a construct, as you and James Baldwin talked about, that Malcolm said, white as a construct, as a power dynamic, not as people, because everybody can get this goodness. If you would just extricate yourself from this power structure, you too can have abundance. Nikki Giovanni is here. I wanted to, I'm grateful, first of all, and I can't say that enough, to be in conversation with you. As I think about you in the 1950s not going to school, but going to school, and they're banning Darwin. Today, 2023, Nikki Giovanni, we are having the whole states, including I think yours and Arkansas and Florida and Texas, banning books, banning authors, banning history.
Yeah.
So how far have we come, and then where are we right now? Like,
well, the world turns around and around, and so we've turned back to the fascism and Hitler. And what I don't understand, and I think it's a question that has to be raised, is what white people are afraid of. Because I don't mind if I got on a bus in 1955 and sat down next to Mrs. Parks, I'd be, of course, thrilled because Mrs. Parks is a great woman. But if I were a white man and sat down next to Mrs. Parks, I'd sit there and get off the bus. You paid the same dime. So what was he afraid of? Or today, and it's because I'm always laughing and say, well, I know my mother and my grandmother went to heaven, so I know that eventually, when I die, they'll talk to somebody and say, well, let her come visit, because I'm going to hell because I just like so many people. But you look at these people and you wonder, well, what is wrong with you that you are afraid of having a Coca-Cola with me, or not with me, but in the same place. And then you look at the so-called fathers of the country. Look at Thomas Jefferson. What would he have done without Sally Hemings? Because he did everything in the world. It wasn't the Sally Hemings and their children. It was the marriage. It was the legitimacy. It was the, recognized. But I live here in Virginia. And of course, the sign says, the license plate says, Virginia is for lovers. And we're not. It should say Virginia is for loving. And it's enough to make somebody like me say, I'm going to run for governor and I'm going to change the license plate. I know I can't do anything else. I know I can't, make the world better. You have to recognize I can't do a lot of things. But if I were governor, I could change the license plate. And that license plate would say, Virginia is for Lovings, because John and Mildred Loving wanted to get married. Nobody minded when they were sleeping together. It was when they wanted to get married. But I also know that my face is here. Wherever we are, you can see my face. I don't have to hide my face. I'm not a Klansman. I don't have to parade through a park and hide my face, because I want you to see this is who I am, damn it. Get used to it. This is what I look like. I am not afraid of you seeing me. And all of these men are afraid of being seen. What are they afraid of?
I'm going to let that sit. I think fear operates in many different ways in all of us, some of us, most of us. And so with this power structure of whiteness is fear of losing the power. I think it's a fear of losing. If I let you in and I feel something for you, if I see you as a human being, then I can't oppress you. I can't justify the things that we're doing in the law. I can't cheer when someone has a knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes. I can't be happy when people are shot or beaten to death. I can't, and I want to be, because then that puts me above you, right? And if I can't be above you, then what am I? Toni Morrison said that. What are you without your race? Are you any good? And I think that's a larger question, or not a larger, more profound question. And, what are you afraid of? Are you any good if we took away your designation as white, or even Black for that matter? Because there are a lot of people that are wearing Black the same way.
Yeah. And that's pitiful. I curse someone out, which periodically I do. And as I say, I'm going to hell. My mother.
Do we have it on video? Do we have it on video?
I don't know if it was or wasn't. To tell you the truth, I was at a reading, and a Black woman stood up and said, why are you, because I had talked about it earlier, why are you in favor of the immigrants coming in? And I just couldn't believe. I mean, and I'm not going to say what I said. No. I mean, I invented curse words. And, you're a Black woman. Someone came and got you and brought you. This is a nation of immigrants. But those people walked for months, in some cases, from Peru to come to America to try to have a better life. These are the women, because it's the women who are doing that, who are going to wipe the toilets in the airports, who are cleaning the houses for next to nothing so that their kids can go to school. I just couldn't believe somebody said, well, why are they getting something that I didn't have? Because they're great people trying to be free and trying to be wonderful. And we should be learning their language so one job that every one of the immigrants coming through what we call South America, one of the jobs that the young men and women should know is school, so that they can teach me. I can't speak. I speak what is called English. And it's not English, because if you've ever been to England, you know that I don't sound like an English person. I speak American. And we need these youngsters to come in and teach me how to speak South America. We know that they can cook, and I'm a foodie. So if we didn't do anything but lend them the money to set up little shops on the street, that we know that the food will be great. We know that they can swim because they swim across rivers. So we know that they have a lot to give to us, and that we should be embracing them, that we should be opening our arms to the next generation. That I couldn't believe somebody would actually say, they shouldn't be allowed. Of course, this is Earth. And I think that's the one thing we should really do right now. And I said that too, but I said it a little less nice than this. This is a planet. And one of the things we need to be doing right now in preschool is teaching youngsters, teaching kids, who are you? You are an earthling. Let's get rid of the race. Let's get rid of the gender. Let's get rid of the religion, because whatever religion makes you happy. I'm a Baptist. It makes me happy. I remember my minister. I remember the sermons. I read my Bible in my way. Other people read their Bible in their way. I'm happy for them. But my Bible doesn't teach me to kill somebody or to blow up a church. The Jesus that I worship would never allow that. And so I don't want a whole bunch of people running around saying they're Christian when they're killing people, when they're not reaching out, when people are hungry or tired, they're not trying to help. And I can't help everybody. I know that I'm just one person. I know that. But the one person I can help, I try to. And that's all I can expect of myself. But I am, if you ask me, the old people, the enslaved say that if anybody asks you who you are, tell them you're a child of God. And now we have to take that next step. If anybody asks you who you are, tell them you're an earthling. And so as we go into the galaxy, we will meet other life forms, and they will be able to tell us who they are. And we will be able to meet, and hopefully we will find a way of language. I'm very lucky, and all of us actually are, that Black people sing, and everybody laughs about it. Oh, no, y'all always singing. But that is a language that has brought all of Earth. No matter where you go, people don't like it, but no matter where you go, rap is all over this planet. Everybody raps, and no matter where you are. And we can take that same rap into the galaxy and see if somebody else is rapping. Somebody else is dealing in rhythm, in trying to talk to each other. I think we have so much to give, and I think the future is so interesting. If people would just quit being afraid of what life is. And we need a definition of humans, because we don't really know what it is to be a human being. I like to think that I'm a human being, but I know that if I'm a human being, I know that I'm living with people who aren't, because I see what they do. And we saw it recently, young man on the subway. He's a Michael Jackson impersonator. He's trying to find something to do to say, well, this is who I am. I can dance. He wasn't hurting anybody. So why is he dead? Because somebody said, oh, I was afraid of him? Give me a break. Things like that really annoy you. And I guess there's a stronger word, but the voice, our voice and our rhythm, it's what makes this earth possible to talk to each other. Did I say that badly? And
no, you said
without
that perfectly.
the rhythm that Black Americans created, we would not be able to communicate. And we know that because you only have to go back 300 or 400 years, and they couldn't communicate. And we go back a few more than that. All we had was the Greeks fighting, and we call them Greek. We don't know what they were, but they're fighting the Rome. Everybody's fighting. And it wasn't until we came along that we could make it possible for everybody to talk. Now, they're not doing a good job. I'm not a fool on that one. But we know that they now can sit down and talk. And because of the wonderful, and I have to say it because it's true, the wonderful ability of Black women to cook, they can all sit down and eat. And if you can eat together, you can work some things out. It's going to work some things out.